My next guest is an incredible character. He's a motorcycle daredevil driver. All his life he's done death-defying feats, and death has nearly defied him several times. His longest jump was I think it was nearly a 50-yard jump over the fountains of Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas. This jump did not go well. You may have read about it or seen still photos of it, and he has some film with him of what happened on that. He seems to spend his life, what there is left of it, it sometimes seems to me, seeing what he can do that will shorten it. It's incredible the things he does. And a movie has been made by, as you know, George Hamilton's film about his life, or parts of it. Will you welcome, please, the legendary Evel Knievel. How are you? Have you have you ever been hurt?
Yeah, several times.
Yeah,
several times.
Yeah. Gee, I've heard so much about you. I can't. Do I detect a slight hesitation in your walk?
When I was hurt in Las Vegas, I pushed my hips through my pelvis. That's what's known as a central protrusion fracture. And my left leg, when it was pulled out, they put you in a traction to pull you out, and that left hip did not come out. However, I've missed a jump like the Caesar's Palace jump 9 times in 5 years, and as a result of that, I've been operated on some 12 times. So it's.
Well, when they say that you've broken every bone in your body, that naturally they don't mean every tiny bone in your ear and everywhere. But
no.
Have you broken over a dozen?
Oh yes, I imagine all the major bones except my neck.
All the major bones.
Both legs, both arms, my back twice last year.
Where's the fun?
Well, it's like anything you do, it's part of the game.
Yeah.
Do you have trouble getting insurance?
Is there a life insurance company in Philadelphia? I'd like to make an application publicly.
You have a little trouble getting it,
I have trouble getting life insurance, accident insurance, hospitalization, and even insurance for my automobile.
I expect Lloyd's of London took a group vacation when you asked for insurance.
Lloyd's of London has rejected me 37 times, so if you hear the rumor that they will insure anybody, don't pay too much attention to it.
You're the man who stopped that rumor. I want to hear more. We have to take a station break. We'll be right back.
The Dick Cavett Show with Dizzy Gillespie, Evel Knievel, and Governor April Harriman will continue following station identification.
Talking with the Evel Knievel. That's how you pronounce it.
You have a little trouble with that, don't you?
Well, I always want to
say it. It's evil. It's E-V-E-L, though.
Yeah, but because it's E-V-E-L, I never know quite how to say it.
Knievel is my real name.
Knievel
I was born
is,
Robert Craig Knievel, but I was nicknamed Evel because I was such a good little kid.
You know, you said that you started by seeing Joey Chitwood's Auto Daredevils. That started
I did. My granddad took me to see that a long time ago, and that was the first show you ever saw.
That's how I started as a daredevil. I honestly, Jim McConnell and Milton Cotchell, my little friends, and I got bicycle ramps. We put them up. We rode our bikes up them, smashed them in cardboard boxes.
I must have made mine. That's why I kept going. You guys lost it at an early age.
You kept going, right? You could have been here, and I could have been jumping at the garden if...
I know a trumpet player that started as a daredevil. He took a job with Charlie Mingus. And that's dangerous. That's dangerous.
That's dangerous.
If you make a bad note, he's liable to hit you over the head with the bass.
Does that tempt you to want to play with Charlie Mingus? That's just about only thing you haven't tried.
I wouldn't advise.
Okay. Well, but the Vegas thing, would you say, is the closest you've come to curtains?
Well, when you jump, as I do, it's really not a stunt or a trick. Mm-hmm. The Vegas thing was a distance of 50 yards, which is half the distance of a football field. When you go off a ramp on a motorcycle at 80 or 90 miles an hour, the only thing that can actually prevent you from getting to the other side is if the atlas should break on the machine. If it does...
If the what?
That's the chain, the atlas.
Oh, the chain.
If it breaks on takeoff, you're never going to make it to the other side. However, I've never had the chain break. So what happens is it's a miscalculation mentally with me, or something physically the matter with the motorcycle, with the engine itself, and that's what happened at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas. I was riding a British-made machine, and it just didn't have the power to get across. I ride an American-made motorcycle now, Harley Davidson. I haven't had any problems.
You have a certain anti-British feeling now?
Well, not really. I used to drive a Rolls Royce and drink beer brewed there and ride the English motorcycles.
Well, you've done everything. Weren't you a card cheat for a while? Or was that a harsh way of putting it?
No, I had that's very mild, thank you.
Oh, okay.
I had when I was a young fella, I was kind of on the wrong side of the law. And I grew up in a rough town. I was born and raised in Butte, Montana. It was a mining community. It's full of wonderful people. All the bad ones left out, and there's 35,000 good ones left there, I guess. But I traveled between Reno and Butte and Las Vegas and Butte through the Idaho area, and I really got to be quite a crossroader. So
crossroader is a guy who doesn't take the highways. He goes cross country.
He goes any way he can, but on the main highway, so he won't get caught. I think that's what the terminology is. Yeah. But I grew up in a pretty rough way, and I really shouldn't have, because my grandparents raised me and were very good to me. But that's how I got the nickname Evel, is because I was really on the wrong side of the law most of the time. I changed all that, though.
You've changed now.
Yeah.
I know you're sick of being asked, why do you do it? But why do you do it?
Well, that's a standard. That's a standard question everybody asks.
Yeah, I mean,
anyone is why they do what they do.
There are a lot of nice office jobs available.
Well, there are three.
Actually, there aren't.
There are three mysteries to life. That's where we came from, why we do what we do, and where we're going to go. And you don't know the answer to any of those questions, and I don't know the answer to any of them.
Yeah.
So I never try and
why do you do what you do?
I never try and answer that. I do it because I'm Evel Knievel, and it's something within me that makes me do it, and I don't try and figure it out. I just do it the best I can.
Yeah, are you curious? Would you ever like a psychiatrist to tell you why you...
I've had a couple of them talk to me. They went away talking to themselves.
Do they come up with fancy theories like you show your contempt for death by defying it and by tempting it and...
They like to get me in a corner and look at me, and they expect, I guess, other than what they find. I don't care what they want to talk about, the Vietnam situation, the financial situation in the United States of America, anything, educational system. I can talk to them about the stunt work and the life and death of it, and how I feel about God, being religious or not, and it's... They don't know what to think. They don't know what makes me tick.
I think they'd be more likely to say that you have some hidden loathing of yourself.
A death wish, maybe.
Death wish, that's it.
I don't know. To me, life is a bore by just doing nothing. I mean, there's people that... I saw a guy working in that tunnel I came through here today. Well, I mean, what would a guy want to go stand around that tunnel for? Get out and get some fresh... Can you imagine a guy wanting to work in a tunnel? I mean, you ought to get a motorcycle and jump through the air and breathe a little bit.
Then he'd enjoy working in the tunnel. Yeah.
I can't understand that.
Well, I think we should all jump once, so we appreciate what we're doing. I haven't seen this film, and I've heard so much about it. I'd like to take a look at it right now. This was in Las Vegas.
At Caesar's Palace.
I guess it speaks for itself, but you made this terribly risky leap, and...
It's not really much more of a risk than I make normally. I have jumped a motorcycle over 19 cars in Los Angeles, which is just as far successfully, and I'm going to jump in Philadelphia at the Spectrum on the 27th and 28th of this month, inside.
I wish I'd seen you here. I missed it. Well, let's take a look at this now. And this is slow motion, is it?
The jump, if they can go ahead and roll it, I'll describe it, tell you what's coming up. This is the jump coming up right here. This is where I ride the motorcycle to the top of the ramp and more or less look across to make sure that I'm really ready to go like I should be. That was a picture of the crowd on the strip in front of Caesar's Palace. There was about 20,000 people there. This is the jump. And this is the motorcycle coming down on the ramp. When I landed, I went over the handlebars and smashed on the pavement, and I bounced.
That's pavement?
60 yards, into the parking lot. Yeah, it is. If you look closely, you can see that the pavement actually tears the clothes from me. The motorcycle went over a wall that separates the dunes from Caesar's Palace and caught on fire. It was quite a shock to me. It's something I'll never forget, I'll tell you that.
I guess not. Can you remember what went through your... Can you remember what went through your head? Can you remember it all? I mean, is there a moment of blankness?
Well, the first thing I thought was that, God almighty, am I ever going to stop bouncing? But I prepare myself for that before I jump. When we talk about... I'd like to get serious for a second, if it's all right. When you talk about the jumping, I know I've been called a lot of things by a lot of people, a crazy man or con man. But when you head down that long white line, you better have made your peace with God, and you better know what you're doing, because a con man ain't going to get there.
I was going to ask you, do you think about God?
Well, of course I do. I flirt with my life so much every month, twice, 2 or 3 times a month, that of course I'm a lot more aware of life and what it involves, I think, than a lot of people are that get in a car every day and go down and have an accident happen, and it's something they're not planning on or suspecting.
Well, what about your wife and kids? Don't they ever don't they always try to talk you out of it? Or
Oh, no. I have 2 little sons, and they're both jumping. I started one when he was 5 and the other one when he was 6, and they've been jumping for 4 years.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't let him perform here in New York with me. But we're all looking forward to this big jump that I'm going to make at the canyon, and I hope that it'll come off successfully. And
it's not the Grand Canyon.
well, the government stopped me from jumping the Grand Canyon after they'd given me written permission, but I bought a canyon in Idaho, my own, the Snake River Canyon in Twin Falls, Idaho.
And you're going to use a jet cycle of some kind.
I have a jet cycle. It runs, it's a jet-powered, streamlined motorcycle.
Yeah.
And it runs on water. And I use artesian water in it. I get it Tumwater, Washington, and that's the water I use in it. And it runs 300 miles an hour, puts out 2,000 pounds of thrust, and I'll go clear across the canyon a mile, blow open a ballistically deployed parachute system, and land in the impact area upside down.
Well, on what?
Well, see, the motorcycle, it's impossible to land a vehicle on the opposite side of the canyon on the wheels. In other words, at 300 miles, I couldn't land a 747.
So you're in a net or something?
No, just nothing. Just going to land over there in the rocks on the other side with a parachute system coming down.
Parachute system?
The parachute is fastened to the machine.
That's exciting.
It'll open it.
Can I go with you?
Oh, you lose a little weight.
Yeah, wow. All right, good luck. They say good things come in bunches, so here's a bunch of small commercials for a bunch of small cigars from Muriel. We'll be right back. Scout 2 by International, the new way to discover America. Talking with Evel Knievel, Governor Evel Knievel will be joining us shortly, but we have just a couple of minutes here. Are you scared before a stunt? Do you have fear?
No, I can't.
Can't?
You know, have you ever read a book that there's no such word as can't?
No.
You ever read Think and Grow Rich, or The Power of Positive Thinking, or Success Through a Positive Mental Attitude by those guys, Carnegie and Hill? And
I haven't read them because I feel the title tells me what they're about.
Well, there is such a word as can't.
Yeah.
I'm a living example of that.
Yeah.
And I know that some things can't be done unless you do them right. And I am not scared. When I go off of that jump, let's say I have some concern, but I don't think I've ever been afraid of anything. I mean, what's there to be afraid of? You can get hurt, and I've been there before, and if I die, you know, we all got to go there someday, so it's not something that I worry about.
To hasten the day.
Well, I don't, though. If I didn't know what I was doing, I'd have been dead a long time ago. When I go off of that jump, if I know something's going to happen, I try and train myself to where I have complete control over my mind and my body. I relax when I hit instead of freezing up and being scared, like a person in a car who would get in a head-on collision that would freeze. If you can relax like a baby, have you ever heard about a baby falling out of a 10-story window or 2-story window and living when they hit the ground?
Yeah, but
you have to control your emotions mentally and your body physically, and that's what I did when I jumped at Caesar's Palace. I think the thing that upset me more at Caesar's Palace than anything was I bounced clear into the Dunes parking lot, and they never even paid me for making an appearance, and that made me damn mad.
Cheapskates. Well, that crowd obviously thought you were dead when you could see them running.
Well, I wasn't unconscious at the time.
You were not out? You were not out?
No, and I did go unconscious, and I told the doctors at the hospital that I thought my hips and my pelvis were broken. I'd been hurt before, and I knew about what was the matter with me because I had a feeling in the inside of my body, and when they did put me out, of course, I was unconscious for 14 days. They said that I was going to die, and when I woke up, they said I'd never walk again, but I never have paid too much attention to doctors or lawyers, and I have got along pretty well, and I walked out of the hospital in 32 days.
Really?
That's right.
Yeah. Is there one moment where the big kick comes? Do you crave applause, for example?
No, I used to. I think, you know, I've tried to figure myself out as I've gone along. I think when I was a youngster, I liked to try and impress people, and I got a big kick out of it. Playing with your life is really not much of a game.
So you don't need the mob approval of the...
No, I have to be right with myself.
So why don't you just jump in the desert where nobody's around?
Well,
Could you do it and still get the same kick?
Oh, I doubt that very much. To be a performer, to be the only one in the world, and to take pride in what I'm doing, which I do, drives me and keeps me going. I'm certain of that. However, to do it and do it well, the canyon thing to me is the big thing for me. I want to jump that canyon. I want to keep my word. And I think it's got to be such an obsession with me because there has been some disbelievers. But those disbelievers, one of these days, will look in the mirror. And I'm talking about maybe 1 or 2 sports writers out of all of them I've met who have really been a great help to me. The few that have not believed in me will look one day in the mirror and say, I didn't even have enough guts to believe what that guy could really do. I mean, I've really got some disbelievers.
Okay, and suppose we're assuming you do make it successfully, and that does happen.
Well, I might.
Then you're going to have to find something harder to do, aren't you?
No, I don't know what I do for an encore after I jump the canyon.
You might be satisfied with that.
Yes, and I am satisfied with what I do, but I said I was going to jump the canyon. To me, it'll just be another ramp, another runway, and another jump, and hopefully a happy landing. It's
Yeah. Well, let me ask you an unpleasant question. Suppose you are crippled for life by one of your stunts.
Like,
what will you do with the rest of your life? If
I'm in a wheelchair?
Yeah.
Well,
will you race it
first
down
thing
ramps?
I'll do is put a tail on a wheelchair and add a small steam jet filled with tum water and jump across a smaller canyon.
I guess that answers my question. What has 3 doors and keeps cold in? Take a look.